The Marigold Market was a place full of noise. It was a place full of smells. Carts overflowed with bright red tomatoes. Piles of shiny green peppers sat next to them. People called out to each other, their voices mixed with the sounds of chopping and sizzling. It was a happy kind of chaos. And right in the middle of it all were two stalls. They sat side by side like two old friends. One stall belonged to Wahid. He made waffles. The other belonged to Zara. She sold snacks. They were both very good at what they did. Their food made people smile. Wahid's waffles were a wonder. They were not just ordinary waffles. He spun honey into them until they gleamed like gold. He dusted them with cinnamon that smelled like a warm hug. Each waffle was light and fluffy, like a sweet cloud you could eat. People would line up just to watch him work. He would pour the batter onto the hot iron. A puff of steam would rise, carrying the scent of vanilla and happiness. Children would point with wide eyes. Their parents would nod, knowing it was worth the wait. Wahid's waffles were a taste of sunshine on a busy market day. Next to him, Zara created magic of a different kind. Her stall was filled with crunchy, savory snacks. She sold crispy little triangles she called spice kites. They were dusted with a secret mix of peppers and herbs. They were fiery and zesty. They made your tongue tingle in the best possible way. She also sold moon chips, which were thin, round crisps flavored with salt and a hint of lime. Zara moved quickly. Her hands were a blur as she scooped her snacks into paper cones. People loved her food. It woke them up. It made them feel alive. Wahid and Zara were friendly rivals. They were also neighbors. They would nod to each other in the morning. They would share a quiet smile when the market closed. Wahid admired the spicy kick of Zara's creations. Zara secretly loved the gentle sweetness of Wahid's waffles. They knew their foods were very different. One was soft and sweet, the other was crunchy and spicy. They lived in separate worlds of flavor, side by side. But they did not know that their two worlds were about to collide in a most surprising and wonderful way. One afternoon, the sun was high and hot. A hush fell over the market for just a moment. A stranger appeared. This person was not like the usual market crowd. They wore a long, dark coat, even in the heat. Their face was hidden in the shadows of a wide-brimmed hat. The stranger walked slowly, past the shouting fruit sellers and the fragrant flower stalls. They did not look at the bright silks or the shiny pottery. Their steps were quiet and deliberate. They stopped right between Wahid's waffle cart and Zara's snack stall, looking from one to the other. The stranger pointed a long, thin finger first at Wahid's golden waffles. Then the finger moved to Zara's spicy triangles. The voice that came from under the hat was soft, like rustling leaves. "I want something new," the stranger said. "I want something that is both of these things." Wahid blinked. He looked at his fluffy waffles. He looked at Zara's fiery snacks. Mix them? It was a strange idea. It was like asking to mix the sun and the moon. He had never heard of such a thing. He did not know what to say. Zara was just as confused. She looked at her spice kites. They were perfect, just as they were. She had spent years getting the crunch and the spice exactly right. And Wahid's waffles were soft and sweet. How could you put them together? It did not make any sense. Together, she asked, her brow wrinkled. "You want a sweet and spicy waffle snack?" The idea felt wrong. It felt impossible. It was like trying to sing two different songs at the exact same time. The market was full of noise again. But for Wahid and Zara, there was only a pocket of confused silence. The stranger nodded slowly. "Yes," the voice whispered. "I need a flavor that remembers, a flavor that dreams. I need something crispy and fluffy. I need something spicy and sweet. I have heard you are both masters of your craft. You are flavor weavers." The words hung in the air. Flavor weavers. Wahid had never thought of himself that way. He just made waffles. Zara just made snacks. But the stranger's words felt important. They felt like a challenge. A strange, impossible, and very serious challenge that they could not ignore. Wahid and Zara looked at each other. For the first time, they were not just neighbors. They were partners in a puzzle. Wahid took a deep breath. "Well," he said, "I have the fluffy and the sweet." Zara nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "And I have the crispy and the spicy," she replied. They decided to try. It was a crazy idea, but the stranger waited so patiently. Wahid started by making a small, thin waffle, cooking it a little longer than usual so its edges were extra crisp. It was a good start, but it was still just a waffle. Zara watched him work. Then she had an idea. She crushed some of her spice kites into a fine reddish powder. She added a pinch of a special herb she rarely used, one that smelled like old books and distant rain. "Here," she said, passing the bowl to Wahid. "Mix this into the batter." He hesitated for a second. Then he carefully folded the spicy dust into his sweet, creamy batter. The mixture turned a beautiful sunset orange. It smelled strange. It smelled like nothing they had ever smelled before. It smelled like a secret. Wahid poured the new batter onto the hot iron. A cloud of steam hissed out, but this time the scent was different. It was sweet vanilla and warm honey, yes, but it was also zesty pepper and earthy herbs. It was a smell that made you lean closer. It made you curious. When he opened the iron, the waffle was perfect. It was golden brown, with little red flecks throughout. He broke off a piece. It was crispy on the outside, but oh so fluffy on the inside. It was a perfect balance. It was their creation. They handed the new treat to the stranger. The stranger took a small bite, then another. The market seemed to fade away. The stranger stood perfectly still, lost in a moment. Then other customers, drawn by the incredible smell, began to ask for a taste. Wahid and Zara made more. A young boy took a bite, and his eyes went wide. "I see a river of stars," he whispered. An old woman ate a piece and smiled, tears in her eyes. "I remember my mother's lullaby," she said softly. Something amazing was happening. Every person who ate the new snack had a vision. They saw things, wonderful, colorful, and strange things. They saw memories they had forgotten. They saw dreams they had not yet dreamed. The snack was not just food, it was a key. It unlocked a door in their minds. The market was filled with murmurs of wonder. People were not just eating, they were experiencing something magical. Wahid and Zara watched in awe. They had only mixed flour and spice, sweet and heat. How could it do this? How was this possible? The stranger finally lowered the snack. The wide-brimmed hat tilted back, and for the first time they could see the stranger's face. It was the face of a kind old woman with eyes that sparkled like distant galaxies. "You have done it," she said, her voice filled with relief. "You have woven the flavor of remembrance." She explained that she was not just a customer. She was a guardian of a secret world, a world made entirely of flavors and aromas, a world that was connected to our own through memories. She told them that this magical world was fading. The flavors were becoming dull. The memories were being lost. The balance between the two worlds was breaking. She had been searching for a new flavor, a special recipe that could bridge the gap. A flavor that could hold both sweetness and spice, both comfort and excitement, just like a powerful memory does. "This snack," she said, holding up the waffle. "This is the taste that can heal the world of flavors. It helps people remember, and those memories give my world strength." Wahid and Zara stood speechless. They were not just a waffle maker and a snack seller anymore. They were heroes. They were the flavor weavers the Guardian had been looking for. Their small act of working together had created something powerful. It had created something that could save a world they never knew existed. Their journey was just beginning. They had a new purpose: to keep making their magical snack, to help restore the balance between flavors and memories, and to be the heroes of a delicious, wonderful, and magical adventure.